The encounter in the dark alley. The night was heavy with silence. The streets of the human city were almost empty. Only the weak glow of broken street lamps lit the narrow path. A man named Daniel walked home slowly, his tired steps echoing on the stone ground. He had just finished another long day of work, and like every other night, he expected nothing but his small, lonely apartment waiting for him. But that night was not normal. That night, something was waiting for him. Daniel heard it first, soft, weak breathing. It was not the sound of an animal. It was different, desperate, fragile. He stopped walking and looked around. The shadows of the alley stretched like dark fingers. Somewhere inside, something moved. "Please, don't leave me," a voice whispered. Daniel froze. It was not the voice of a human. It was soft but strange. The tone carried an otherworldly sound. His heart beat faster. He should have walked away, but his curiosity forced him to step closer. In the corner, hidden behind old crates, sat a girl. She was small, her body weak and trembling. Her clothes were torn, dirty, and too thin for the cold air. But what caught Daniel's eyes were not her clothes. It was her face. Her skin had a faint silver glow, and her eyes shined softly in the dark. Not like any human eyes. She was an alien. The girl raised her head slowly. Her eyes locked on his, wide with fear and hope at the same time. Her lips trembled as she spoke again. "Please, take me with you." Daniel stepped back, shocked. His mind screamed to run. He knew the stories. Aliens wandering alone were usually criminals, slaves, or bait for a trap. But this one looked too fragile, too broken. Her voice was not a trick. It was pure begging. "I can serve you," she said quickly. Her words rushed out like she feared he would leave. "I can cook. I can clean. I will stay silent. I will not disturb you, Jay." Don't leave me here." Her voice cracked, and she lowered her head, pressing her hands together like a servant begging a master. Daniel's chest tightened. He had never seen something like this. She was beautiful but broken, elegant but abandoned. There was dignity in her features, yet she sat in the dirt like a slave. Her glowing eyes shined with silent tears. "Why me?" Daniel asked quietly. His voice was rough but gentle. "Why ask a stranger?" The girl's shoulders shook. "Because humans are kinder," she whispered. "Your kind may ignore me, but you will not throw me away like my own people did." Her words cut deep. Daniel could hear the truth in them. She was not lying. She had been cast aside, left to rot in the shadows. He wondered what her story was, but he knew one thing. If he walked away now, she would not survive the night. The wind blew cold through the alley. She hugged herself tightly, waiting for his answer. Every second felt longer. Her eyes begged silently, while her lips stayed pressed shut. Daniel finally sighed. He could not believe what he was about to do. "All right," he said, his voice low but firm. "Come with me." Her head shot up. Her glowing eyes widened. She almost did not believe it. Then she crawled forward on weak arms and knelt at his feet. "Thank you, Master," she whispered. Her forehead touched the ground as if she was swearing her life away. Daniel felt uncomfortable. He was no master. He was just a man living in a small apartment. But at that moment, he realized something important. This girl was desperate. She did not want freedom. She wanted safety. And for some reason, she believed she would find it with him. He reached out his hand, slowly, carefully. She looked at it, then placed her small, trembling hand into his. Her skin was warm, almost too warm, as if fever burned inside her. "Can you walk?" he asked. She nodded. Dead weakly. "Yes, Master." "Stop calling me that," Daniel muttered. "Just call me Daniel." The girl's lips parted slightly, as if the name felt strange to her tongue. "Neil," she whispered, almost testing the sound. He helped her stand. Her legs shook, but she leaned on him. Her fragile body felt like it could collapse at any moment. Daniel looked around one last time. The alley was silent, but he knew silence was never safe. If others had abandoned her, maybe they were still searching. Together, they walked out of the dark alley. One human man and one fragile alien girl. Their shadows stretched behind them, twisting together under the broken lights. But deep inside, Daniel's mind was restless. Who was she really? Why was she abandoned? And why did she so easily offer herself as a servant to a human stranger? The questions followed him like ghosts as he guided her through the empty streets. But one thing he knew for sure, his life, once simple and quiet, had just changed forever. And from the darkness of the alley, unseen eyes watched them leave. A shadow stepped back, whispering, "So she found someone, a human." A strange guest in his home. Daniel pushed open the door of his small apartment. The place was quiet, old, and not very clean. He had lived there alone for years. The walls were pale, the furniture simple, and the air carried the smell of old coffee. He never cared much. It was enough for one man. But now, with the fragile alien girl beside him, the place suddenly felt different. She stood at the door, looking around with wide eyes. Her glowing gaze moved over the old couch, the small table, and the tiny kitchen corner. She seemed almost surprised, as if this little human apartment was safer than a palace. "You can sit," Daniel said, pointing to the couch, but she shook her head quickly. Her silver hair fell over her face. She bowed slightly. "Servants do not sit, master." Daniel frowned. "Stop calling me that. I told you. My name is Dan." "Yell." She lowered her head even more. "Forgive me." Neil, she whispered. Her voice broke softly, like she was still afraid of the name. Daniel sighed and went to the kitchen. He poured water into a glass and handed it to her. Her trembling hands took it carefully. She drank slowly, as if each drop was precious. Then, to his shock, she placed the empty glass on the floor and bowed her head again. "Thank you for water. I will serve you well," she said. Daniel studied her silently. She was not just being polite. She truly believed she was a servant. Her posture, her words, everything carried that broken discipline. Whoever she was before, life had crushed her spirit. His stomach growled, reminding him he had not eaten. Before he could reach for anything, the alien girl suddenly moved. Her weak body seemed to find sudden strength. She went to the kitchen corner, looking at the old pots and pans. Her fingers touched them carefully. Her glowing eyes narrowed in thought. "You should rest," Daniel said. "You're too weak to—" "Please," she interrupted softly. "Let me cook. I can serve. I must serve. It is all I know." Her voice held both fear and determination. Daniel hesitated, but then allowed her. He stood by the wall, watching as she worked. Her movements were careful but skilled. She opened his small cupboard, found rice and spices, and began mixing them with strange herbs she carried hidden in her torn clothes. The herbs glowed faintly, releasing a smell that filled the room, sweet, sharp, and alien. Daniel's mouth watered. He realized he had never seen anyone handle food like this. She moved with a quiet rhythm, almost like a dance. Every cut, every stir carried grace. She did not waste a single grain. She worked as if the food was sacred. When she placed the steaming bowl on the table, Daniel was both surprised and cautious. He sat slowly. She stood behind him, hands folded, head down. "Eat, Neil," she whispered. Daniel lifted the spoon and took a bite. The taste exploded on his tongue. Rich, strange, yet comforting. It was the best thing he had eaten in years. He looked at her, shocked. "This is incredible. Where did you learn this?" Her lips trembled. She looked away. "From my mother. Before I was abandoned." The silence that followed was heavy. Daniel wanted to ask more, but he saw her body stiffen, her eyes clouded with pain. She did not want to remember. Instead, he pushed the bowl toward her. "Eat too." She shook her head quickly. "No, I must not. Servants eat after masters." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Enough. Sit and eat." For the first time, she hesitated. Her eyes widened in shock, as if no one had ever ordered her to eat before. Slowly, nervously, she sat at the edge of the chair. Her hands shook as she took a spoonful. She ate like someone who had starved for days, small bites, but her glowing eyes softened with relief. Watching her, Daniel felt a strange warmth inside him. He had never shared a meal with anyone for years. Yet now, this fragile alien girl was sitting in his home eating beside him. And it felt right. After they finished, she immediately stood, gathering the dishes. She cleaned the table and washed everything with silent care. Daniel leaned back on the couch, watching her. She moved like someone born to serve, but there was sadness in every motion. When the room was spotless, she finally turned to him, bowing deeply. "Thank you for food, Neil. I will keep your home clean. I will make your meals. I will not disturb you. Please, do not send me away." Her voice cracked at the last words. Her glowing eyes shimmered with fear. Daniel sat up. "I'm not sending you anywhere. You can stay here, but you need rest. Take the bed. I'll use the couch." Her eyes widened again. "No, I cannot. I am a servant. I will sleep on the floor." Daniel rubbed his forehead, frustrated, yet soft. "Listen, no one sleeps on the floor here. Not while I'm alive. You will take the bed. That's final." For a long moment, she stared at him. Her lips trembled as if she wanted to protest, but finally she nodded slowly. "Yes, Daniel." She walked into his small bedroom. Her thin figure looked even smaller in the doorway. Before closing the door, she whispered softly, almost to herself, "Why are you kind? when no one else was. Daniel sat alone in the living room, staring at the silent wall. He didn't know the answer himself. He only knew that tonight his life had changed. But as he closed his eyes, a shadow moved outside the window. A pair of glowing eyes watched from the dark street. A voice whispered, "She has found shelter, but not for long." The night was not safe, and neither was his new guest. Whispers of her past. The night was quiet, but Daniel could not sleep. He lay on the couch, staring at the cracked ceiling of his apartment. His thoughts kept drifting back to the alien girl sleeping in his bed, the way she had bowed, the way she had begged, and the way she cooked with such skill. It all felt strange, too strange. He turned on his side, trying to block the thoughts, but then he heard it. A soft sound, not from the street, but from inside. He held his breath, his ears focused. From the bedroom, there was a whisper. The alien girl was talking in her sleep. Her voice was low, broken, like someone lost between dream and nightmare. Daniel slowly got up, his bare feet silent against the floor. He stood near the door, listening. The words were not human. They belonged to her alien tongue, yet the emotion inside them was clear. He heard sobs between the whispers. He heard names, repeated, trembling, desperate. "Mother, forgive me. I tried. Daniel's chest tightened. The pain in her voice felt real, too real. He leaned closer, careful not to disturb her. Through the crack in the door, he saw her figure twisting under the blanket, her glowing eyes shut tight, tears sliding down her cheeks. "Don't sell me, please, not again. I will serve. I will obey. Just don't." Daniel's hands curled into fists, his heart pounded with anger. What kind of people would make someone so young beg like this even in her dreams? The truth was clear now. She had not chosen servitude. It had been forced on her, beaten into her. He wanted to step in, to wake her, but something stopped him. If he entered now, she might break further. He knew trauma when he saw it, and hers ran deep. He quietly returned to the couch, but the whispers of her nightmare followed him the whole night. Morning came. The girl walked out of the bedroom, her hair messy, her silver glow faint. She looked weaker than before, but her face carried the same quiet mask of obedience. "Good morning, Neil," she whispered softly, bowing. Daniel studied her, wanting to ask about the dream, but when he opened his mouth, he stopped himself. Her eyes looked tired, haunted, but also defensive. She would not share the truth so easily. Instead, he asked, "Did you sleep well?" She lowered her head. "Yes, master. Daniel," she corrected quickly. Her voice was stiff. Daniel sighed. He wanted to tell her she didn't need to pretend, but before he could, she was already moving into the kitchen. Her thin hands began preparing food again. Each motion was automatic, mechanical, as if her body knew no other life than to serve. As she worked, Daniel noticed something. Around her neck, half hidden beneath her torn dress, hung a broken piece of jewelry. It shimmered faintly, not like cheap metal, but like something ancient and valuable, he wondered. Was she from a noble house, a family with power? When the food was ready, she placed it on the table and stood behind him again, waiting silently. Daniel ate, though his mind was full of questions. Finally, he spoke. "That necklace. Where did you get it?" The girl stiffened. Her glowing eyes lowered quickly. "It is nothing. Just broken trash, P." "Please do not look at it." Daniel narrowed his eyes. "That's not trash. It means something, doesn't it?" Her hands trembled. She whispered, "It belonged to my mother. Before they took her away." The words slipped from her mouth like a wound opening. She quickly bit her lip as if she had said too much. Daniel waited, but she refused to say more. She busied herself cleaning the dishes, trying to bury the subject. Daniel leaned back, watching her silently. The mystery grew deeper. She was not just a poor, abandoned alien. She carried bloodlines, memories, and scars of something much bigger. That night, it happened again. Daniel pretended to sleep, but he heard her whispers. This time, they were sharper, faster, like she was running from something in her dreams. "No, don't chain me. I will serve. I will not run. Please, no more pain." Daniel's fists tightened again. He could not just watch this. He stood and entered the room. The girl gasped awake, her glowing eyes wide with terror. She shrank back against the wall, breathing fast, as if expecting punishment. "It's all right," Daniel said quickly, holding up his hands. "You're safe. No one will hurt you here." Her breathing slowed a little, but her hands still shook. She whispered, "I should not speak in sleep. Forgive me, master." Daniel shook his head. Stop calling me that. You don't need to beg anymore." His voice was firm, but gentle. Tears slipped from her eyes. She lowered her head. "I cannot stop. It is all I know. If I stop, I will remember, and remembering hurts too much." Daniel's heart twisted. He wanted to push further, to ask what exactly happened, who chained her, who sold her, but he knew she was not ready. Instead, he sat on the edge of the bed, leaving space between them. "You're not alone now," he said quietly. "Whatever happened before, it's not going to happen again. Not while you are here." Her glowing eyes lifted slowly, searching his face. For the first time, there was a flicker of something different. Trust, fragile but real. She nodded, slightly, then whispered, "Thank you, Daniel." The unwanted visitors. The days passed quietly in Daniel's small apartment. The alien girl kept herself busy, always cooking, always cleaning, always lowering her head as if she was afraid of taking too much space. For Daniel, it felt strange. He had lived alone for so long, yet now every corner of his home smelled of warm food. Every table was spotless, and every night he heard the soft sound of her breathing in the next room. But peace never lasted, and Daniel knew it. Somewhere in his gut, he could feel danger approaching. One evening, as the sun set behind the city buildings, a loud knock shook the door. Daniel froze. The girl was in the kitchen, her hands washing a bowl. She stiffened, her glowing eyes darting to the door like a hunted animal. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Don't open it." Daniel's chest tightened. The knock came again, louder this time. Then a voice, rough and commanding. "We're looking for someone. Open the door, human." Daniel stood still. He knew that voice didn't belong to his neighbors. It carried authority, arrogance, and danger. He moved closer to the girl, whispering, "Go, hide, now." Her hands shook, but she obeyed, running into his bedroom and pressing herself into the corner behind the bed. Daniel took a deep breath, then unlocked the door. 3 men stood outside, but they were not human. Their tall figures filled the hallway. Their skin carried the same silver glow as the girl, but stronger. Their eyes burned with a cold light. They wore dark clothing, but the bulge under their jackets revealed weapons. The one in the front leaned forward, his sharp eyes scanning Daniel. "You're alone?" Daniel nodded casually. "Yes. What's this about?" The man's lip curled in a half smile. "We're searching for someone. A runaway, female, small, weak, dangerous. Have you seen he?" Dangerous, Daniel thought bitterly. She was trembling in fear the night he found her, starving and begging. How could they call her dangerous? But he kept his face calm. "No, haven't seen anyone like that." The alien man's eyes narrowed. He studied Daniel for a long moment, then stepped back slightly. "If you do, human, remember this. She is not what she looks like. She is property, stolen property, and we will take her back. Anyone who hides her will regret it." The words were heavy with threat. Daniel felt the heat of anger rising in his chest, but he controlled himself. "Understood," he said flatly. The men gave him one last cold look, then turned and walked down the hallway. Their footsteps echoed like war drums. Each step reminded Daniel that this was not over. They would be back. He shut the door quickly and locked it. His breath came heavier now. He walked to the bedroom and opened the door. The girl sat curled on the floor, her glowing eyes wide with terror. "They were here, weren't they?" she whispered. Her voice cracked. "They will never stop." Daniel crouched in front of her. His hand hovered near her shoulder but stopped. He didn't want to scare her more. "They didn't see you. You're safe for now." Tears slid down her cheeks. She shook her head. "No, no one is safe from them. They own everything. They buy, they sell, they chain whoever they want. And me." Her voice broke completely. "I was sold too many times until even my name meant nothing." Daniel's chest tightened. "Your name?" he asked gently. She blinked, her lips trembling, as if she had forgotten what it felt like to be called by it. After a long pause, she whispered, "Leora." The name floated in the air, soft and fragile. Daniel repeated it quietly, "Leora." Her glowing eyes widened, her body trembling. "You said it kindly," she whispered. "No one ever said my name kindly." Daniel clenched his fists, anger boiling inside him. The men outside saw her as property, but she was not. She was alive, broken, but alive. "Listen, Leora," he said firmly. "They won't take you, not while you're with me." Her breath caught. She stared at him like she couldn't believe his words. "You don't understand," she whispered. "If they find me here, they won't just take me. They'll kill you." Daniel leaned back, his eyes steady. Let them try. For the first time, Leora's lips parted in a faint, trembling smile. It was small, weak, but it was there, a spark of hope shining through her fear. That night, Daniel stayed awake, his ears sharp, his eyes on the door. He knew the men would return. They didn't believe him. They would search, and when they did, he would have to make a choice, fight or run. In the bedroom, Leora lay awake too, staring at the ceiling. Her fingers touched the broken necklace at her throat. Her mother's memory burned inside her heart. For the first time in years, she wondered, could a human really protect her? Could someone like Daniel truly stand against the monsters she had run from all her life? She closed her eyes and whispered softly to herself, "Don't let him die for me." But far away in a dark chamber filled with shadows, the three alien men reported to their leader. His tall figure stood before a glowing map, his eyes sharp as knives. "She's close," he hissed. "And if a human shelters her, then that human will suffer the fate of thieves. No one steals from us and lives." His hand slammed down on the table, the lights flickered, and his voice was cold as ice. "Find the girl, kill the human." A silent bond. The following days passed with heavy silence inside Daniel's small apartment. Outside, danger walked on every corner. Leora knew it. Daniel knew it too. Yet inside those four walls, something unspoken began to grow every Monday. Morning, Daniel would wake up to the smell of food. Leora always prepared something warm. Sometimes it was simple rice, sometimes bread with alien herbs she kept hidden in a small pouch. She moved around the kitchen silently, her hands always busy, her glowing eyes lowered as if she did not deserve to look at him. Daniel tried many times to make her sit, to rest, to stop acting like a servant. But Leora refused every time. "If I do not serve," she whispered, "I do not exist." Her words cut him deeply, but he did not argue further. He let her clean, let her cook, let her sweep his already clean floor. Yet what surprised him most was the small changes he saw in her. She began to hum softly while cooking, a tune broken and weak, but filled with a piece of her past. She began to smile faintly whenever Daniel praised her food. She even dared to sit near him at the table, though always on the edge, always ready to stand if he ordered. Daniel never ordered her. He simply let her be. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the city skyline, Daniel sat by the window. His eyes scanned the street for signs of the hunters, but his thoughts kept drifting back to the girl inside. She was kneeling on the floor, fixing one of his old chairs. Her thin fingers moved carefully, as if the broken wood was a treasure. "You don't have to do that," Daniel said. "That chair was always broken." Leora looked up, her silver hair falling across her glowing eyes. "Then I will make it whole again," she whispered. "Everything broken can be fixed, except me." Daniel's chest tightened. He stood and walked toward her. She flinched slightly as his shadow fell over her, but he only knelt down, taking the broken chair from her hands. "Not true," he said firmly. "You're not broken. You're just hurt, and hurt can heal." Leora stared at him, her lips parting as if she wanted to argue, but no words she. Her glowing eyes shimmered with something strange, hope, fragile but real. That night when Daniel lay on the couch, he heard soft footsteps. He opened his eyes and saw Leora standing near him, her hands pressed together nervously. Her voice was low. "Daniel, may I sit here, just for a while?" Daniel nodded silently. She sat on the edge of the couch, hugging her knees. Her silver glow softly lit the dark room. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence was heavy, yet gentle. Finally, Leora whispered, "Why are you kind to me? Others would have sold me already. Others would have taken what they wanted and thrown me away. But you asked nothing. You even gave me your bed. Why?" Daniel's jaw tightened. He didn't know how to answer. He looked at her and saw not just an alien girl, but someone who had been denied every small kindness. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said simply. "You don't need to earn a place to exist, Leora. You're not my servant. You're you." Her eyes filled with tears. Her lips trembled. She leaned slightly closer, her voice breaking. "If I am not a servant, then what am I?" Daniel did not answer right away. His chest burned with anger at those who had erased her sense of self. He finally said, "You're someone who deserves to be free." Leora's breath caught. Freedom. The word felt dangerous, impossible, yet beautiful. She lowered her head, hiding her tears, but inside her chest something began to shift. A silent bond was forming, invisible but strong. The next day, Daniel returned home with supplies from the market. Leora rushed to take the bags from him, scolding softly, "Humans should not carry heavy things when I am here." For the first time, Daniel laughed, and to his surprise, Leora's lips curved into a small, shy smile. That smile haunted him the whole evening. It was soft, innocent, and full of gratitude. It reminded him that no matter how broken she believed she was, pieces of light still remained inside her, but peace was fragile, and danger never stayed far away. That same night, while Daniel and Leora shared a quiet meal, a knock came at the door again, softer than before, but firm. Daniel's body stiffened. He stood quickly, motioning for Leora to hide. Her glowing eyes filled with fear, but this time, instead of running, she whispered, "Daniel, don't open it." He placed a hand on her shoulder, steady but gentle. "If I don't, they'll grow suspicious. Stay quiet, I'll handle it." Leora's hands clutched his sleeve for a moment, then released. She disappeared into the bedroom, her silver glow vanishing with her. Daniel opened the door slowly. A man stood there, different from the hunters before. His face was older, his silver glow dimmer. His eyes studied Daniel quietly. "Have you seen her?" he asked softly, not threatening, not cruel, just tired. Daniel said nothing. His silence was enough of an answer. The man's lips curved into a bitter smile. "Protect her if you wish, human. But know this. Your bond with her will only bring more enemies. She is marked. She is hunted. And by choosing her, you have already chosen war." Before Daniel could reply, the man turned and walked away. His footsteps faded into the night, leaving behind only fear and questions. Inside, Leora stood at the edge of the room, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. She had heard everything. She whispered, "You should have given me to them. Your life is worth more than mine." Daniel looked at her firmly. "No, Leora, my life is mine, and I choose who I protect. That choice is not theirs, it's mine." For the first time, she stepped closer on her own. Her trembling hand brushed his arm lightly. Then, "You have chosen me?" Daniel met her glowing eyes, steady and sure. "Yes." And in that moment, the silent bond between them became unbreakable. Staggered, snarling in pain, the other hunters pulled back, clearly shaken. "This isn't over," the leader spat, clutching his wound. "She is ours, human, and you will die for stealing her." They retreated quickly, their heavy footsteps fading into the night, leaving behind blood and broken furniture. Daniel collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. His body ached, his arms shook, but his eyes turned to Leora. She knelt beside him, her glowing hands trembling as she reached toward his bruised neck. You fought for me," she whispered, her voice breaking. Tears streamed down her face. "No one has ever fought for me." Daniel gave her a tired smile. "Get used to it, because I'm not stopping." Leora's heart pounded. Her whole life, she had been nothing but property. But tonight, someone had chosen her, not as a servant, not as a slave, but as someone worth protecting. The bond between them deepened, stronger than chains, stronger than fear, yet fear still lingered. She looked at him, whispering, "They will come again, Daniel, and next time, they won't run." Daniel nodded, his eyes steady despite the pain. "Then we'll be ready." Far away in the hunter's hidden base, the wounded leader slammed his fist onto the table. His voice thundered with fury. "That human defied us, and she awakened." The others bowed their heads, afraid to speak. The leader's eyes burned like fire. "Prepare everyone, the girl belongs to us, the human dies." And the hunt began again, stronger than before, more than a servant. The apartment smelled of smoke and blood. Broken furniture lay scattered across the floor. Daniel's chest burned with pain from the fight, but his eyes stayed sharp. His knife rested beside him, still wet with alien blood. Leora sat close, her glowing eyes wide with fear and guilt. She pressed a damp cloth against his wounds. Her small hands trembled. "You could have died," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You almost died because of me." Daniel caught her wrist gently. His voice was steady. "No, Leora, I fought because of you, not against you. You're not the reason I bleed, you're the reason I stand." Her lips parted, her breath trembling, tears rolled down her cheeks. "I am nothing, Daniel. I was sold, abandoned, treated as property. I offered myself to you as a servant because it's all I know. But you—" She lowered her head. "You don't treat me like a servant, and I don't know what I am without chains." Daniel looked at her, his eyes steady. "You're not a servant, not to me. You're Leora. That's enough." For a long moment, silence filled the room. Her tears fell freely. Then she whispered, Why do you care? Why not throw me away, like the others did? Daniel leaned closer, his voice low but firm. Because you're worth more than they ever saw, because you deserve to live, and because I choose you, not as a servant, but as someone beside me. Leora's glowing eyes widened. Her lips trembled as if she had forgotten how to smile. Slowly, carefully, she whispered, "Beside you, not beneath you." Daniel nodded. Always beside me. But peace was fragile. Outside, the hunters were preparing. Their leader's wound only fueled his rage. He gathered more men, more weapons. The order was clear. Take the girl alive, kill the human. That night, the air grew heavy. Leora felt it in her bones. She stood at the window, her hands clutching her mother's broken necklace. Her voice shook. "They are coming again. I can feel it, Daniel. If they take me, don't fight this time, please, just survive." Daniel walked to her, placing a hand on her shoulder. His voice was calm but sharp like steel. "No, Leora, I don't survive by giving you up. I survive by keeping you safe. That's my choice." Her tears burned her cheeks. She wanted to argue. But the bond between them was too strong now. She lowered her head, whispering, "Then I will not run this time. I will stand with you." Daniel's chest tightened with pride. He nodded. "Good. We stand together." The hunters came at midnight. Their heavy footsteps thundered in the hallway. The door rattled under their fists. "Human!" A cruel voice roared. "Give her to us, or we burn your home to ash." Daniel's eyes locked with Leora's. He handed her the knife. Her hands shook, but she gripped it tightly. For the first time, she wasn't hiding. The door burst open. Shadows filled the apartment as a dozen hunters stormed inside, their glowing eyes locked on Leora. The leader sneered, "There you are, runaway. Your game ends now." Daniel stepped forward, blocking their path. "She doesn't belong to you," he growled. The leader laughed coldly. "She belongs to us by law, by blood. She was bred to serve, to obey. You are nothing but a human fool standing in our way." Daniel's eyes burned. His voice thundered back. "Then let this human fool show you what it means to fight for someone." He charged, Leora right behind him. Her glowing eyes blazed with strange light. For the first time, she didn't beg. She didn't bow. She fought. The battle was fierce. Daniel swung with raw strength, his blows fueled by rage and love. Leora's touch flared with energy, burning the hunter's skin when they tried to grab her. Together, they fought as one. Human and alien, servant no more. The hunters staggered under the unexpected power. The leader snarled, clutching his side where Daniel had cut him before. He roared, "You think you can win? You are nothing!" Leora stepped forward, her glowing eyes bright with fire. Her voice shook, but her words cut deep. "I am not nothing. I am not property. I am not your servant. I am Leora." The light in her hands flared, striking the leader with a force he had never felt before. He screamed, collapsing to the floor. His men panicked, dragging him away. Their threat crumbled in the face of her awakening. When the silence finally returned, Daniel and Leora stood in the ruins of his apartment, bruised, bloodied, but alive. Daniel dropped the iron bar he had used, his chest heaving. He looked at her, smiling faintly despite the pain. "You see, Leora, you're more than a servant. You're stronger than you know." Her tears shone in the glow of her eyes. She knelt before him, not in servitude, but in gratitude. "Then let me be yours, not as property, not as servant, but if you allow me, as family." Daniel reached down, lifting her gently to her feet. His voice was soft but firm. "Not beneath me, not behind me, but beside me, always." She pressed her forehead against his chest, her voice trembling. "Always." Outside, the night carried whispers of fear. The hunters had failed. A human had stood against them, and won. Rumors would spread, and more enemies would come. But inside that broken apartment, a new bond had been forged. One stronger than chains, stronger than fear, stronger than law. A human and an alien girl, no longer master and servant, but something far more powerful. They had chosen each other, and their story had only just begun.